In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Almighty Father, thank you for the business you have enabled me to begin and sustain. Enlighten my way in leading and inspiring people engaged in the business organizations, industry, and communities that I serve. Allow us the mastery of your will for the role you would want this business to play in your divine plan. Provide us all the resources, human and material, for this enterprise. Sustain us financially for growth and development, and keep us humble with our successes, and make us innovative and creative in our endeavors. Help us in our crisis, and guide us in every step we take as we run and manage our business. Let our business involvements be models of inspired integrity, and allow it to bring good health, wealth, and prosperity among your people. Bless our business partners, clients, and suppliers. Give us the faith and confidence that we can accomplish even what seems to be impossible. Move us to dispense all our actions to be full of love for you and the rest of mankind. In Jesus' name, Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, Amen.
Hello, good afternoon. Are we live now, Jay? Okay, there you go, Miss Mitch. Jay, is everyone in now?
Yes, good afternoon, Miss Emily.
Good afternoon, Miss Mitch, and good afternoon, everyone. Magandang hapon po, and welcome to Mayor Vico Sotto's Hour with Pasig Business Community, and of course, the Pasig City Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Good afternoon, everyone. Magandang hapon po, and welcome to Mayor. Hear an echo? Okay na. All right. So, again, good afternoon. My name is Emily Kerubin. I am the Vice President of the Pasig City Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Inc. And of course, I'm a businesswoman in Pasig City. And to give the welcome remarks for this afternoon, I'd like to call on Ms. Mitch Ballesteros. She is also a businesswoman in Pasig City and currently the President of the Pasig City Chamber of Commerce. Mitch?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Our beloved and Honorable Mayor Vico Sotto, our dynamic City Administrator, Attorney Jeron Manzanero, the representative from Ortigas Center Association, Attorney Gani Elasio, Pasig City Chamber of Commerce and Industry members, and would-be members, all the public viewers who are with us today, blessed day, everyone. We have come together as a unified business organization today, the Pasig City Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Inc., aiming to air our business concerns to the Pasig City government. Beloved Mayor Vico Sotto, amidst this COVID-19 pandemic, uncertainties are covering our thoughts, and we can only share faith in God, hopes, and collective cheers for everyone. Businesses like ours are the drivers of our economy. More transactions, more taxes, more jobs are created. More jobs will feed people and elevate standards of living. But the pandemic is now challenging our businesses, and it's challenging our business decisions, our fate as humanity. I know that a lot of businesses are facing closures, layoffs, and unfortunate decisions in the coming days in this prolonged quarantine. As a unified business organization, we can further survive and sustain if we will be together in this fight for COVID-19 pandemic. We just need to participate for collective and unified actions and programs. Let us all participate in this survival program and action plan for our companies and industries. Let us heal together and survive this pandemic. On behalf of the Pasig City Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Inc., thank you for participating in this online forum. Welcome and God bless us all. Okay, after these welcome remarks, I'd like to directly introduce to you the beloved and very dynamic father of our city, of course, the very young Mayor Vico Sotto. Good afternoon, Mayor. Thank you for taking time to be with the business community in Pasig. We would like
Ma'am
to,
Mitch,
yes po.
yes, magandang hapon po sa inyo, Ma'am Mitch, and to everyone else. Maraming salamat for hosting this FB Live, or this online live event. Napaka-importante na pag-usapan natin yung mga topic natin, lalo na yung tungkol sa ekonomiya at trabaho.
Yes, Mayor. Okay. Sa ngayon po, gawin po, you have any messages or any program na po ba for the Pasig businesses amidst this pandemic crisis that we're having? Meron na po bang naka-line up ang Pasig City government that we can share with the business community po? Medyo uncertain po lahat ngayon because of this crisis and na-prolong pa po ang ating quarantine. So, ano na po ba yung pwede nating pagtulong-tulungan na programa para po sa ating businesses dito sa Pasig?
Alright, yes, Miss Mitch, ngayon nga po, di ba nagta-transition po tayo from enhanced community quarantine to the modified enhanced community quarantine or MECQ ng ating as the IATF is guiding us. Ang mahalaga po ngayon, paano tayo magta-transition para mabuhay ulit yung ekonomiya natin, yung lokal na ekonomiya natin dito sa Pasig. As we all very well know, this crisis with COVID-19 is not only a medical crisis. Of course, we focus on the healthcare interventions. Ito po talaga yung kailangan natin i-focus on kasi naapektuhan din ang ekonomiya. Habang kumakalat itong virus na ito, it really cripples everything else. But although it is primarily a healthcare crisis, we cannot forget that this is also a socio-economic crisis. Sa krisis na ito, marami pong nawalan ng trabaho. Sa krisis na ito, marami pong negosyo na nagsara, lalo na yung maliliit natin na negosyo. At marami pang ibang naapektuhan. Everyone has been affected by this, whether rich or poor. So ngayon, ang tanong, paano tayo magta-transition? At of course, we have to follow the guidelines from our national government, specifically, excuse me, from the IATF. Later on, Attorney Jeron Mancenero will discuss ano ba yung mga pinapayagan na, ano ba yung mga hakbang natin para unti-unting bumukas na ang ekonomiya. Of course, we have to do this very cautiously, very carefully, dahil ayaw po natin biglang buksan na lahat. Tapos magkakaroon tayo ng spike sa ating bilang ng mga kaso ng COVID-19, tapos mapipilitan ulit tayo magsara. Dito po yung gusto nating iwasan at ito rin yung nakikita natin na very clear danger na this has happened in other countries, and what the question is, what are we going to do to prevent this from happening in Pasig? So right now, almost all businesses can already start to resume. Okay, we're also so dito muna tayo mag-focus, sino na ba yung pwede magbukas na, sino yung pinapayagan lamang ng national na pamahalaan na 50% workforce. Definitely a lot of businesses will have to transition, a lot of businesses will have to even change their business models to transition into allowing work from home, online, especially in the case of food deliver food the food or and beverage industry, yung deliveries, but not limited to that. No? So this will really be a big challenge to us. We also want to hear what are the sentiments and what are the suggestions, comments of our business sector here in Pasig. Again, all with the goal of providing more jobs for more people, especially yung mga natamaan ng krisis na ito.
Okay. Mayor, just to stretch out lang po yung aming moment with you. We know that you're very busy. Pero among the MSMEs po na hardly hit talaga nitong crisis na to, meron na po ba tayong mga naiplano na pwedeng i-share sa public ngayon or sa business community natin? Paano po tayo slowly makakapag-transition from the of course, ECQ next week, kasama na po ba tayo sa MECQ or modified? Paano po yung mangyayari? Can we have at least a scenario kung paano po yung mangyayari sa Pasig City?
Yes, tama ho. So, starting tomorrow, nasa MECQ na po tayo. Ibig po sabihin, pinapayagan na ng ating IATF at ng lokal na pamahalaan din na magbukas na ang karamihan sa mga negosyo. Most businesses will be allowed to start opening again. Now, of course, we have to do this with a warning and again, very cautiously. Huwag tayo magmadali. Anyway, we've waited for how many weeks before we can open our businesses again. Let's not hurry. So we have our minimum requirements for businesses to start opening. We want to do this. We want to make it as easy as possible for businesses, whether micro, small, medium, or even large businesses. We want to do this. We want to facilitate. We want to help you to be able to open your businesses. But of course, we understand that there are minimum requirements. Yung sa transportation, that will be one. Transportation will really be a big challenge moving forward. We will continue to provide yung mga libreng sakay, ganyan. Pero hindi po kakayanan ng pamahalaan na saluhin lahat. Pag-usapan lang po natin yung realidad. So this is just one example. Before a business will be able to open again, kailangan siguraduhin nung may-ari ng business o nung management ng business na merong transportasyon or akomodasyon yung mga empleyado niya. So halimbawa po, BPO with 1,000 employees, paano makakapunta sa trabaho ang ng mga empleyado niya na ito pa nga, sarado pa ang public transportation. So I know this will be a challenge. We're also trying to help. Again, we have yung libreng sakay, libreng hatid. We will do what we can to help. Pero ang reality dito, hindi po kaya ng lokal na pamahalaan lahat. And the private sector will really need to pitch in as well. Ngayon naman ho, naghahanda din tayo ng isang economic recovery stimulus package. Although the details will be discussed again later on by Attorney Jeron. Pero hindi rin kasi namin maikwento pa yung buong package or hindi namin matapos yung plano because we're also waiting for the national guidelines, specifically ano ba yung official guidelines na natin. So we have also just received halos sabay lang po natin din nalaman yung ano ba yung mga allowed or hindi allowed specifically. So now that we have the list of what is allowed, what is not allowed to open yet, we can move forward with our economic stimulus package or planning stages. So we're in the early planning stages for this. Our goal at the local economy is to infuse capital or cash into our business sector para mas marami po tayong mabigyan ng trabaho. Siguro for yung mga mas specific na tanong, baka meron po mamaya. So if you can just compile your questions, that would be very helpful to us also para makita din namin ano yung mga concern ninyo. So we will do everything we can to transition properly. May mga specific or may mga guidelines lang tayo na kailangan strictly sundin. Again, remembering or keeping in mind that this is a pandemic that can that the curve can spike up at any time. So we need to be very, very cautious and careful about how we do things.
Okay, it's great to hear that the Pasig City is really preparing for the recovery and stimulus program for the MSMEs, especially the MSMEs.
Yes.
Isa pong ikinababahala ng ating mga miyembro actually ay yung piling up of the billings, especially yung rental sa mga offices. Meron na po ba tayong concrete na action plan para po makatulong naman dun sa mga companies na hindi naman po malalim yung threshold actually and funding? Kasi as we go on with this quarantine, medyo piling up na rin po yung rentals, yung mga billing. So, meron po bang kasama dun sa recovery or recovery plan po na inihahanda ng regarding that matter? Para sa mga lessees and lessors po, we heard kasi from the TTI that mall lessees are being assisted. What about the offices po and yung mga bills that are piling up now? 2 months na po. Lagpas 2 months na po halos next week. Yes, sir.
Yes, we understand the concerns of especially yung mga smaller businesses natin. Hindi lang naman sa mall ang mga negosyo. Hindi, may iba, may mga office spaces, may rentals and leases na kailangan na nagpapatong-patong na yung mga bills. So again, we want to do everything that we can to help. However, we also have, the reality is the local government is also having a hard time because we don't have a revenue stream right now. Walang papasok na pera sa lokal na pamahalaan. So this is a crisis that really is affecting all of us, from government to private sector. So we're trying to come up with creative ways to also have the necessary funds. Because this, hindi naman ito pwedeng 10 milyon lang o 20 milyon lang yung tulong natin. So so this will really be a challenge for us. Hindi naman din natin kaya saluhin lahat ng bills ng private sector. That is really impossible. So what we're planning now, again, I can't give you all the details because we're also waiting for national guidelines, kung ano ba talaga yung mangyayari specifically, even with regard to transportation, which is yun yung maglilimit sa atin hindi naman natin kasi pwede sabihin, okay, pwede na kayo lahat magnegosyo ulit, pero kulang yung transportasyon, magiging magulo lang po yun, and this might lead to a spike in cases, tapos magsasara ulit tayo. So again, ito yung mga considerations po natin. Transportation is really a big one. Now, going back to the economic stimulus package that we're trying to build, this might take some time. So the planning stage will take maybe another 2 to 3 weeks. I don't want to set your expectations too high also. But this will be by application, pero siguro ang kailangan ko sabihin ngayon pa lang, hindi ito yung lahat ay mabibigyan. So we will come up with the parameters and the criteria, but it is at this point, I'm sorry to say, but it will really be impossible to have every single one. Now, to ease the burden for some of our smaller businesses, we're also crafting several ordinances to give you breathing room. So the obligations will still be there, of course, but at least may breathing room lang na makukuha yung ating mga smaller businesses.
Okay, thank you for that, Mayor. Actually, the aim of this meeting, which nag-live rin po tayo, is for all the Pasig City companies to hear on what the government would really have in store for all of us na nasa business community. And after this, we will have a Zoom meeting all together po para pag-usapan din kung i-consolidate yung mga concern that we can also submit to the Pasig City government so that we can also participate in your planning on the action plans and program that we will all enter into this recovery program if ever. But of course, health pa rin po and safety of our people yung pinaka-main concern natin. Kaya lang, syempre, medyo nauubusan na rin po tayo ng funding. And all together lang po, baka there can be some other ways that we can work on together. So, any message pa po, Mayor, for our
Yes,
business community?
So, siguro if I can add, Ms. Mitch, yung mga obligations ng mga negosyo sa city o sa lokal na pamahalaan, lahat po yan naka ano po, hindi pwede i-waive, pero yung mga penalties po, yun po yung wini-waive natin. To give you time or to buy you some time also. So wala pong interest yung mga business tax natin, even yung sa amilyar, lahat po yan ay any obligations that you have to the city, hindi pa due as of now. So we're giving you some leeway there as well.
Okay. So later we will have a forum together with Attorney Jeron and the Ortigas Center Association. We know that you're very busy, Mayor, and we don't want to hold you that long. Before we go to the forum, VP Emily, would there be any additional from your side?
No, that would be all because I understand that our mayor is short, running out of time. So we can let him go. And I'm sure si Attorney Jeron can take over during the question and answer. Thank you so much, Mayor Vico.
Okay. Any last words from you? Na-miss ka po ng business community, Mayor Vico.
Busy sa pagsaserve
Yeah.
si Mayor.
Last word from the mayor for the business community. Wala na siya. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Sige, we'll go to the forum with Attorney Jeron and Attorney Gani of Ortigas Center Association. So, it's the floor is yours. Yeah.
The two addition to our panel discussion. So we now have the president of Pasig City Chamber of Commerce and the owner of X-Link Events, Ms. Mitch Ballesteros. And another one who will join us is, of course, the Attorney Jeron Manzanero. He's the city administrator. Serving his term since 2019, he was appointed by Mayor Vico Sotto shortly after the election. Masyadong mga bagets yung ating mga public servants dito sa Pasig. And prior to his appointment, this Ateneo Law School graduate practiced law both as legal associate in a noted law firm, Chavez Miranda, Asioche Law Offices, and as an in-house legal counsel for two corporate giants, City of Dreams and Manila Electric Company. As Pasig City Administrator, Attorney Jeron brings his time and experience honed legal and administrative skills in managing the day-to-day affairs of Pasig, addressing the concerns of the residents, and deftly implementing the many processes, operations, and programs attendant to the continued development of the city. So, Attorney Jeron, thank you so much at pinaunlakan niyo kami.
Hi, good afternoon sa inyong lahat.
And another one of our panelists is also a lawyer. He is the legal manager and head of external affairs of Ortigas Land Corporation, Ortigas Commercial Corporation, Ortigas and Company Limited Partnership. And he is also currently one of the board of directors of the Ortigas Center Association, Inc. or OCAI. Si Attorney Isagani Elasio. Thank you so much, Attorney Gani, for joining us. Kahit short notice. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so we will be having some questions. Mitch, do you have a list of the questions?
Yeah. Some of the questions actually ay nabanggit ko na rin kay Mayor a while ago. Although we would like sana Attorney Jeron to elaborate on the some of the possible details of the recovery or stimulus program that the Pasig City is preparing for the business community. Yes, sir.
Actually, ma'am, as Mayor Vico has mentioned a while ago, kailangan pa rin talaga natin ng mga guidelines from the national government for us to launch this stimulus program, no? We would also need, of course, data gathering on the businesses that could really be part of the stimulus program of the city. So again, yun pa, this is under initial preparations pa. So we will inform you naman kaagad if ever na maka-finalize na kami ng mga program namin. We're also looking into reviving certain business oriented programs ng city from before. So we are also looking into that, and we will inform you accordingly pag meron ng mga final na kaming mga programs.
Okay. We hope also that through our consolidated resolutions and recommendations from the Pasig City Chamber of Commerce, we could contribute also in whatever you're crafting for the recovery program for business community. Kasi after this po, we will have our Zoom meeting and we will prepare our papers para po we could send it to you.
Most definitely, Ma'am Mitch, we will need the input of the business sector in creating these programs. Of course, yun nga, sa side kami ng local government, of course, kailangan natin talaga na magtulungan with the private sector.
Right.
Okay, thank
Mitch,
you.
gusto ko lang ulitin para sa mga hindi nakarinig kanina, no, na nabanggit ni Mayor Vico that the obligations of businesses to the city is not waived, but penalties are waived. One example he gave is yung mga amilyar. So this is good news actually, no? We all are running out of funds. Even the city government is also running out of funds. But at least yung ating mga interest or penalties are waived, no? Based on the payments of obligations that we have towards our local government. So, can I read some of the questions right now?
Sure.
There's a question posted online by Attorney Pancho Joaquin. He's my lawyer. Sabi niya, where will antibody testing and confirmation for office personnel be conducted? Meron po ba, Attorney Jeron?
Actually, part of the minimum safety standards or requirements set by the IATF yesterday, that in order for certain businesses to operate, whether 100% or 50%, that they would need to undergo antibody testing and confirmatory PCR testing. Unfortunately, wala pa din talaga tayo mga clear guidelines on that, on how and which agency will implement it. So, hintay pa lang din tayo on how to go through with that. But ang mga antibody testing is ngayon for the city is really for the first, uubusin muna natin at iti-test muna natin ang mga frontliners natin, and of course the city frontliners basically first. Tapos if ever na meron na tayo mga leeways, of course tutulungan naman din ng city health office natin ang mga private companies to conduct their own testing, and we will see to it that tama yung mga gagawin natin doon.
Okay. Maybe we can hear from Attorney Gani Elasio. One of the biggest association of businesses is in Ortigas area. We have Attorney Gani Elasio from Ortigas Center Association. Yes, Attorney, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ms. Mitch, Attorney Manzanero, Ms. Emily. Thank you for inviting me. On the part of the private sector, please, I support yung sinasabi ni Attorney Jeron. I think yung most of the businesses, at least let's say for example, yung mga developers, lessors, kasi I overheard kanina na merong question about yung lease rentals on the offices. I would think that most companies will be taking the approach that is what's called the share the pain. I think alam naman natin that everyone was hit here. Everyone's finances have been stretched, if not even overstretched beyond their limits. And even yung mga lessors on the part of sa private sector would understand that as well. We're all waiting for clear guidelines from the national government, as Attorney Manzano and Mayor Vico actually said. Medyo recently lang natin nakuha, so everyone is scrambling to interpret all of the guidelines that are being set, and everyone is trying to find an interpretation that I think would work for them. But moving forward, I think everyone will go forward cautiously. Kami, we honestly have no clear idea of how things will work out, but I think one thing is clear, resuming business is important. On the part of the city government, sila Attorney Manzanero and si Mayor Vico, I think we have to understand that they want to strike a balance between acknowledging and allowing the business sector to resume the business, but at the same time not compromising the safety and health of Pasig constituents. So I think if all sectors would take that into consideration, mas malaki yung flexibility natin and mas malaki yung ating leeway in terms of allowing for certain missteps here and there. On the part of Okay, I think even during the ECQ, as much as possible, we have maintained a force that goes around and ensuring that Ortigas Center is secure, at least for the businesses there. We will also be looking at how we can help all of our members in the Ortigas Business Center to address the problems that will definitely come with resuming the business. So on the part of, I think, Okay as well as yung company ko, Ortigas and Company, definitely we will be supporting whatever initiatives the local government will do or will present in order to have everyone in the private sector restart their business and get back into the groove of making profit and at least moving forward.
Okay. VP Emily, would there be any other questions that we would like to clarify with Attorney Jeron? I think sa chat area and comments we have some questions na po.
Follow-up question dun sa unang question about the antibody testing, no? Or confirmation of personnel. Kasi personally, I'm affected by that. I'm in the construction business. So, ang DO35 requires that before I deploy my people and send them back to site, kailangan naka-COVID-19 testing. Mahal-mahal po nun. Saan ko po makukuha yun? So, ibig sabihin, until I have all my workers tested, hindi ko sila ma-deploy. So, I guess that's a question that I want sana. Hindi ko alam if I will have them tested in, kasi we're still in modified enhanced community quarantine, Metro Manila. But I have projects outside of Metro Manila, some other places in Luzon that are now, effectively tomorrow, will be on GCQ. So allowed na ang construction mag-resume, but then the provinces, our resources are lesser available compared to Metro Manila. So sumasakit ulo kung saan ko sila ipapatest. Attorney Jeron?
Actually, yun dyan, no? The main problem naman for the entire country right now is the availability of these rapid testing kits. The shipment for the city nga came in siguro mga 2 weeks ago, to a week ago pa lang. So it's going to be really a challenge, lalo na for the private sector, to find their own suppliers of these rapid testing kits, and provided that kailangan din that these testing kits would be FDA approved. Kasi
Right.
marami rin mga testing kits dyan sa market that are not FDA approved, that could cause more harm than good. So let's be very careful then for that. However naman, yun nga, for companies naman, and there have been a few that already approached the city to inform the city that they already will be conducting their rapid testing. Susuportahan naman ng city natin yan, and we would deploy certain our city health office to monitor the reactions basically from the rapid testing. And if ever may mga reactions nga dito sa rapid testing, and we will proceed naman for the PCR testing, which is a confirmatory test.
So meaning, Attorney Jeron, aside from the rapid testing, I would have to have my workers also go through the confirmatory testing.
If they reacted, ma'am, from the rapid test, because this rapid testing, as for everyone's information, no, is really to determine if you have already exposure to the virus, and
Right.
if our bodies have developed antibodies to fight the certain virus. Pag meron na tayong exposure, that's the time that we could proceed to the swabbing test. Basically, that's the easier description for the PCR test. And that is the real test na talagang makakapag-determine whether you are a corona virus positive patient or negative.
All right. Thank you for clarifying.
Miss
Attorney Gani?
Emily? Yes. Siguro also to add din lang to what Attorney Manzanero said. We in the company actually also have been looking at the issuances of the national government, particularly if there really is a requirement for private companies to test their employees before they can resume operations. Siguro ang ano natin dyan would be actually based on our review of the issuances, very specific lang yung sectors or businesses that are actually required for you to resume your business. You have to test your employees first. So my recommendation to members of the chamber would be to really look at the issuances and to see if your area of business or your industry is one of those na nire-require. As an example of what I'm saying is like, for example, I think in the IATF Resolution 35, hindi naman siya clear as to what companies needed to be tested. But later on, a specific department ng government, the Department of Social Housing and Urban Development, actually issued guidelines regarding the construction industry. And yung guidelines nila specifically said that for construction projects to resume, they have to test their workers first. So I think the best thing answer to this would be you look at it on a case-to-case basis. Why do I say this? Because I think on the part of the city government of Pasig, they would want to focus their resources that they have in terms of testing to the Pasig constituents. So if we, kumbaga sa ano, maging mapanuri tayo ng konti, if our businesses naman really are not yet required to have our employees tested before we can resume business, then we don't really have to do that. The other uh, reasoning for that would be testing can only be effective as far as letting you know if it is actually yung mga employees mo are susceptible or they're actually already possibly positive. But the thing is, even if your employees test negative, pero umuuwi naman yung mga empleyado mo via public transportation and you of course don't know what happens at home, then yung effectivity and of the value of testing them, wala rin naman. Because after testing, you don't know what happens to your employees at home. So, and it's also quite expensive to have your employees tested every day. I don't think that's feasible. So I think for most businesses, the good approach would be to make sure that your industry is being required to test your employees before you resume your operations, and to see whether or not testing, you cannot just see it in a vacuum. Pag tinest mo, you have to have measures to make sure that your employees will not be infected. So you'll have to take that into consideration as well moving forward.
Right. Thank you so much for your input, Attorney
VP,
Gani.
VP, there are concerns. I think nagsasum up tayo sa supply chain, logistics, dun sa mga questions that we're seeing now in the comments area. Would there be any guidelines already on the inbound and outbound for the logistics, Attorney Jeron? If may deliveries po ba, supplies from Valenzuela na kailangan ang business dito sa Pasig, ano po ang guidelines for the logistics and supply chain natin dyan?
For those traveling naman from other parts of the country, even in within Metro Manila, going to Pasig, pag essential goods naman and allowed travel ito, hindi naman pipigilan ng Pasig City to pass through or come into Pasig itong mga delivery and logistics services na ito. In fact, dun sa new guidelines, dun sa modified ECQ na sinasabi, ang mga trucking agency at trucking companies could very well operate fully functioning na. So wala namang problem sa Pasig City, and we will just comply with the IATF guidelines. Now, if ever the IATF would require certain passes and permits, that will do to allow passage here naman in Pasig.
Okay. Anything else? VP Emily,
May
among
question,
the list of our questions.
may question online. Question ko rin to kasi sabi ko sa HR admin ko nung isang araw, maghanap ka ng accountant
Okay.
na sa Pasig nakatira.
Okay po.
Because I need to add another staff. So, sabi ni Ms. Betty Dante Au, does Pasig have a list of employees we can hire who live nearby or who live within the city? Kasi maraming nawalan, no? And then others are from the provinces. Ayaw na bumalik sa Metro Manila. So, maraming naghahanap ng pwedeng i-hire. Attorney Jeron.
As of now, wala pa naman, but this is a good suggestion, no, for to help all our Pasigueños nga na nawala ng trabaho or kailangan na lumipat ng trabaho sa mas malapit na lugar. So we will consider this of having siguro a campaign to encourage kung sino yung mga willing magtrabaho sa mas malapit na mga lugar, and corresponding of their professions based syempre sa demand ng kanilang mga professions.
Siguro isa yan sa pwede
Okay.
natin suggest sa resolution later, no, President Mitch?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
full of
Changing of business model, okay, to cater to the intramuros muna tayo ngayon, self-contained, okay? Kasi home quarantine tayo, pati businesses natin within whatever yung marireach muna natin para pare-pareho tayong mag-survive. Kasi
Yes.
bawal din namang tumawid sa kabilang lugar, maraming questions. So, sabi nga namin nung nag-uusap kami ng ibang mga members, kung si Company A magde-develop ng product na bibilhin ni Company B within Pasig City, maybe we can survive and sustain. So that goes also with the people. We hire also from Pasig City so that we can give jobs and have transactions also. Hopefully lang po yung ating transactions within the Pasig City would help us generate revenues also at makapag-sustain sa atin so that we can also pay our taxes accordingly para magkaroon din po ng funding ang city natin na magamit din sa social services. Okay, yung isa pong tanong, sir, ano po ang mangyayari pag na-test positive? Diretso po ba yan dun sa quarantine area na na-delegate po ng Pasig City? Pag nag-rapid test po ba, ihiwalay, diretso? Meron na po ba tayong mga quarantine areas na pwedeng i-allot para sa mga employees na yung mga companies na may employees na magpapapasok na ng 50% nila? Kasi ang hirap din po niyan kung ang scenario natin ay 50% ng workforce mo papasok tapos uuwi yan, baka isang araw lang may dala na siyang virus and then the family would be contaminated also. So hawa-hawa na po yan. Paano po ang magiging scenario nun?
Of course, pag nag-react basically dun sa mga rapid test natin, ang initial talaga dyan, if wala namang symptoms pa, talaga home quarantine talaga siya muna. Tapos, with that home quarantine, we will monitor them and of course, schedule them for a swabbing test that would be sent nga sa mga PCR testing centers natin para lang malaman talaga kung ano yung magiging situation. From there, doon natin malalaman yung situation ng patient. And if ever na kailangan nga talaga idalhin siya sa COVID referral facility ng Pasig, which is a hospital dedicated talaga to treat COVID positive patients, doon siya dadalhin. Or kung hindi naman talaga kailangan dalhin kaagad sa hospital, pwede natin dalhin sa mga quarantine centers natin that the city has also been providing.
Okay. So, in Ortigas Center po ba, Attorney Gani, in case po na magpapasok na yung mga offices dyan, kasi napakaraming offices po dyan sa Ortigas Center, ano, paano po yung, of course, under din po yan ng Pasig. Paano po yung magiging scenario dyan? Kasi pag naglabasan po yan sa Monday, paano po yung makikita natin na envision nating scenario?
Well, to be honest, it's going to be a bit chaotic. I don't
Kinakabahan si Attorney Gani.
I think oo nga. I think as Attorney Jeron can probably confirm, there's no playbook with respect to this. I think all of us are writing the playbook because I don't think any of us has had any previous or prior experience on how to deal with this. But I think for one, the lack of public transportation is a limitation. So that in and of itself will already limit yung dami ng tao na pwedeng pumasok beginning Saturday or even Monday. I think on the part of Okay, as I said, hindi naman sila tumigil. Yung security force that have been deployed in the Ortigas Business Center, they will still continue to be deployed. I think they will begin to be deployed full force kasi nagbawas din kami during the ECQ period, but it's going to be there. But I think Okay will really just be playing a supporting role to whatever measures the city and the national government have put in place. On the part of the businesses, our recommendation would be to, at the very least, have your valid company IDs with you. Kung kaya nyong mag-issue ng certificate of employment sa inyong mga employees, bigyan nyo sila or at least send them an electronic copy kasi I think that will facilitate them going through the checkpoints. I know for a fact that si Attorney Manzanero has already said that at the very least for Pasig officials, they will be honoring valid IDs. Kasi I think hindi naman lahat tayo or ng mga employees natin were able to secure IATF passes or other IDs that will allow your employees to get past checkpoints easier para mas madali. The other thing is the national government has already said that most businesses should really take it upon themselves to to provide shuttle services. So yun, magkakaproblema talaga tayo doon. To be honest with you, it's a problem that we still have to find a solution for. On the part of the city government, I know for a fact that they're trying to find ways to help that. As Mayor Vico actually already said that earlier. But I think we have ourselves at this point. So just to prepare your employees to make it less chaotic, make sure that you remind them to bring identification cards, their valid government IDs. If you can supply them with certificates of employment to help them get past checkpoints faster, then maybe we can avoid it being a bit more unruly and that they can get to their work destinations faster.
Right. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Attorney Gani. Ako ang ginawa ko, aside from the COE and the ID, yung mga department order o yung nilalabas na document ng IATF that's pertaining to my industry, I also have it printed that I give it and I place it sa card and give it to my employees so that they'll be allowed, no? And in-honor naman, basta maayos lang kausapin yung mga checkpoints. So again, valid ID, COE. Tama? Attorney Jeron, there's a follow-up question, no, regarding sa mga testing. Kasi syempre, atat na atat na yung mga taga-Pasig na mag-resume. Everyone needs to resume business. Kung ang Pasig City General Hospital daw ba is open to do the testing or kung saan daw ba sila, sino, anong department sa City Hall ang lalapitan ng mga business owners para magpalista na kung pwede ba kaming mag-avail ng mga testing, no? Will they be subsidized by the Pasig City government?
For now, hindi pa namin masabi talaga kung masasubsidize namin itong mga testing talaga. Kaya pati rin naman ang city ay naghahanap din ng mga supplies ng aming mga antibody testings. Ang pinaka pwede naman pong gawin kung makahanap na po yung mga private sector ng kanilang mga suppliers ng mga rapid tests, they could write to the city, through the city health office, that they would really they would want to
Okay.
start the rapid testing now for their employees.
Okay, so City Health Office. Kasi I remember sa DO35, ang sabi, before deploying the workers, dapat na-check up muna sila ng DOH accredited na doctor and then would go through testing. Hi, Mayor.
Interruption
Hi,
meeting.
Mayor! Oh,
Hindi.
hindi. Okay, thank you. If you want to
Testing
enter po,
requirement.
just click the... Okay.
Okay lang po.
Thank you, thank
In-
you.
Naglalag.
Good.
Okay.
Yan, okay.
Naglalag si Mayor.
Yes, i-update ko lang po kayo yung tungkol po sa testing natin. Actually, yun yung meeting ko ngayon sa City Health Office natin.
Thank you.
So, yun nga po, based on IATF guidelines, testing will be a requirement para makapasok po yung mga empleyado natin.
Right.
Pero i-clarify ko lang po, una, kinakraft po namin kasi yung executive order ngayon. I will issue it by today. Siguro by tomorrow morning, we can release it to everyone. Pero ang magiging key dito, meron kasi hindi namin kakayanin kung i-facilitate po namin lahat ng PCR, ng rapid antibody test kits, ng testing, no, for rapid. We don't have the capacity to test everyone. Not just because kulang yung kits, ano, hindi pa yun yung problema. Yung problema yung kulang kami sa tao to do that for everyone. And I believe under the IATF guidelines, kailangan health worker yung mag-administer ng test. Hindi lang siya basta pwede i-test ko yung sarili ko. So we will be, we're talking to some private labs. We can connect them with you. We will help you and we will facilitate the process for those who need it. Ano? And then, kung sino po yung reactive, don't worry, yung PCR, which is yun naman po yung mas mahal din, the city government will do that for you. So kami na po bahala sa PCR-based na confirmatory testing. So kung sino po yung mag-reactive sa antibody testing or sa rapid test, kami na po bahala dun sa PCR testing, and then we will do contact tracing, etc.
Wow, thank you so much, Mayor. That's so generous, nakakatuwa. May comment yung lawyer ko. Sabi ni Attorney Pancho, with all due respect, it seems that the guidelines provided by IATF has left an operational nightmare for the LGUs in the MSME.
Ay, hindi po ako makakapag-comment dyan. Pero basta, ano naman po,
So our sympathy
for
appreciation for your support.
halimbawa po yung production. Yun talaga yung magiging biggest challenge natin other than testing eh. Kasi
Right.
nagbubukas tayo ng karagdagang mga negosyo, more people can go to work, but public transportation is not allowed. In fact,
Right.
we just got word right now that the last advice to us, even tricycles, kahit yung one passenger, hindi pa rin daw pwede as of now. Ano? So it will really be a challenge. We will try to help. We will continue with libreng sakay. We'll do our best na dagdagan po yun. But again, unfortunately, some of the burden will really fall on the shoulders of the employers.
Yes.
So basta pagtulungan na lang po natin. Let's see how far we can go with opening businesses. Our commitment is there. Tutulong po kami. And within this week, we'll give you a better presentation and we'll ask for your feedback also dun sa stimulus package po natin. So, thank you po. Pasensya na, I have to go again. Salamat, salamat.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mayor. He was finding way to log in again, pero baka yung signal niya ay hindi na ano. Thank you. Baka mahuli siya, social distancing.
Yung mga kailangan nating na mga tanong, no, about rapid testing.
I guess yun talaga yung number one kasi daming questions dito, yung talaga yung mga lumalabas, no? And of course, yung pangalawa in ranking is the, can we ask the Pasig government to ask building admins daw? So hindi lang sa offices, pati residential daw, to discount on association dues for the periods covered by the quarantine. Meron bang jurisdiction ng local government dyan?
We could help talk to the condominium corporations, but being a private entity, syempre, we will help and explain the situation better. But
Ano
as
sabi ni Elsa
as
dyan?
a and as a private entity and a condominium corporation that also needs their income, depende pa rin po talaga sa mga condominium corporations yung mga ganyang mga issues at saka incentives.
How about
Okay.
sa
I
OPAI?
guess
Attorney Van?
this situation, hello.
Ay, yes, Mitch. Sa OPAI ba, is
also,
there sa mga for business rents?
siguro what we can do is to help give you a forum or a venue to talk to the building administrators of the various buildings. We'll see what we can do to give you that opportunity para marinig kayo. It might be a good idea to talk to them as a group so that collectively makita nila yung sentiments niyo.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
that will be great. That will be great. At least we have some ideas and options already on what to do. Really, collective efforts at this time is really needed. Mas malakas po yung ating magiging boses kapag tayo'y sama-sama. Yan rin ang panawagan natin sa Pasig City Chamber of Commerce members and would-be members, okay? Kasi we need to consolidate all our concerns. Of course, hindi rin naman pwedeng tumigil yung economy. Kasi kung hindi, wala rin namang funds na ilalabas ang government for social services. We practically understand that. Yes, any other question, VP?
May question dito for Attorney Jeron. Can the Pasig City government help Pasig businesses after the quarantine by giving a sizable discount on municipal licenses or business permit renewals na po ba?
Of course, lahat naman to magiging subject to review. But as of now, kasi as the mayor mentioned it kanina, that
Right.
all of these fees kasi and licenses are already stated in ordinances, in the city ordinances. Ang pwede lang talaga as the executive, as the local executive na pwede nating bigyan ng leeway are the penalties basically of these deliverables or obligations towards the city. So, kung yung base tax mismo or yung base na kailangan bayaran or yung principal cost, as of now, wala pa talagang moves because again, the local government unit itself ay kailangan din naman ng pera para mapatakbo na maayos ang ating city, di ba? Pero yung mga penalties po, yun po yung talagang pwede nating bigyan ng leeway, kumbaga, yung ating mga businesses.
Thank you for that, Attorney Jeron. Follow-up question on that, kasi may mga deadline daw ng submission of requirements sa sanitary permit to operate. And na-postpone daw yung mga sa sanitary office because of the ECQ. So may extension daw po ba for the deadline?
Actually, last March pa, no, the city council already issued a resolution on all obligations towards the city falling from March until May 31 would be yung mga deadlines na extend to 2 months after. So basically lahat ng mga obligations to the city from March until sa May 31 ay magiging collectible siya or magiging due siya 2 months after the said deadline. Ang pinag-aaralan pa rin po ng city is what will happen naman to obligations that would fall on June 1. So, yun pa rin pa yung pinag-aaralan namin. Kung i-extend din po ba natin yung sa June 1 o baka kailangan na natin talaga i-require yung businesses to pay their obligations on the said date. Pero syempre, re-reviewin pa rin natin yan at i-consider din po yung mga businesses na allowed na po mag-fully operate at yung mga businesses na 50% pa lang pwede mag-operate at of course yung mga businesses na hindi pa pwede mag-operate. And we will of course give more leeway and more consideration to those businesses that still are not able to operate, even with the modified ECQ and the eventual shifting to the GCQ, even to the new normal.
Okay, thank you for that, Attorney Jeron. So to clarify, for example, today is May 15, may deadline ako sa, let's say for example, sa sanitary office. So May, ma-extension ng 2 months, it will be May, June, July 15th na ang June niya.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay, sige. May isa pang question for Attorney Gani. Kasi si Attorney is the head of legal no sa big companies that's related to the Ortigas and Company. Kung if you can share daw po ba kung ano yung ano yung plan ninyo, how did you strategize it sa pagbalik ng mga empleyado, di ba? Kasi some could be already 50% na ang bumalik sa ano, how did you do it? Kasi some of our members na small businesses would want to know kung how are the big companies doing it, Attorney Gani?
Well, first of all, you always have to consult with Attorney Manzanero so that you will make sure that you're doing it correctly. That's first and foremost. But I would think that the approach is no different from I don't think we're too large compared to some of the businesses here, but the approach is still the same. For one, I think the company started off with the employees' safety in mind. So at the end of the day, kasi ika nga ni Ramon Ang, di ba? You can earn money again, but once you lose the life of your employees, that's not something that you can replace. Those are nice words. Of course, putting it in practice is a bit more difficult. But I think the challenge was to make sure that, first of all, we made an assessment as to yung mga work functions ng employees namin. I think that's basic or fundamental. Kasi you really have to look at the functions of each and every employee that you have in your company. Titignan mo kung alin dyan ang can do their work from home. Then obviously you prefer that you keep them at home rather than risk them being infected by having them report to the office. Kung kaya naman nilang gawin yung trabaho nila sa bahay, let them stay there. So once you've determined that, I would assume that you will have a clear idea as to which of your employees really have to report on site. And then from there, you proceed. Under the modified ECQ, ang pinakamalaking problema natin would be transportation. If they have private transport, then that's good. Then we go back to the basics of making sure employees have with them the necessary documents to allow them to go through the checkpoints without any problem. Ang next problem mo would be public transportation, yung mga magpapublic na commute. So that you have to find a way to do that. The other thing is with respect to anong area ng business mo you can resume. Again, you have to look at the regulations that are being issued by the IATF. I think if you analyze it, the main theme of lahat ng mga resolutions would be essentially sinasabi sa atin ng national government, kung hindi nyo kailangan papasukin yung employees nyo, don't let them go to the office. Only those that are necessary can you, yun na ang papuntahin mo sa office. Those that you will have to have report on site, make sure that you follow the guidelines. I think most companies, one of the things that they have already done as far back as a week ago would be to set up the guidelines. Social distancing, temperature checks, alcohol, some of the basic things have to already be in place in the office before you even go to work. And the other thing, I think, which is not too expensive naman, and I think that can be done by a lot of companies, is to digitalize most of your functions. Avoid personal meetings. If you can do meetings by Zoom. I think 3 months ago, nobody or very few people actually are expert on MS Teams or even Zoom. Now it's a byword. Everyone seems to know how to do it. So I think even when we resume operations fully, things will not be completely the same. So it's really more about making sure alin ba sa mga empleyado mo ang kailangan pumasok. Kasi you can minimize your cost and you can just minimize the exposure of your employees just by simply finding out sino ba talaga ang kailangan mag-report from work. So on-site, sino naman ang kailangan naman na pwedeng nasa bahay lang, magagawa naman nila yung trabaho nila. So that's one of the most basic things. And even us in our company, that's the first thing that we did. Then thirdly, of course, we reviewed our projections. We cut cost where we can. We understand that sa amin, yung mga aming mga tenants, we understand that they would also be doing the same. So again, as I said, we approach it on share the pain philosophy. Hindi naman kailangan lahat ng hirap pasan namin, finance namin. So we will share some of the pain, pero hindi rin lahat naman ng pain kaya namin i-absorb. So I think the approach would be equitable. What we can absorb, we will. What we cannot, we will try to make sure that we give as much consideration as we can to our business partners, our suppliers, our contractors, and even our tenants.
Okay, thank you for that, Attorney Gani. Follow-up question on what you said, kasi the first thing you mentioned is employee safety in mind. Now, kung for example, the 50 or 25% of your workforce really need to go to the office physically, and then, for example lang, pinatest natin bago pumasok, negative. Tapos 2 weeks or on the third week, no? Kasi na-lift na yung nasa GCQ na tayo, na-test na positive, may symptoms. So nagkasakit si employee because he or she has been going to work. Sino po ba ang dapat magbayad ng medical bills? Kung for example, hindi covered ng medical insurance, ng very basic yung company medical insurance. So, sino magbayad? Is it the responsibility of the employer or of the government? Or paano po ba, Attorney Gani or Attorney Jeron?
Attorney Manzanero, would you like to answer that question first?
Well, as of now nga ngayon, no, ang rapid testing natin are only for the frontliners pa rin unless makakuha na kami ng mas maraming mga test kits basically. Ngayon, if ever na sa PCR tests naman, that would be shouldered naman by the city. Pag kunyari may nagka-reaction nga ang mga employees nyo at yung mga magpaparapid, kaya naman i-shoulder ng city yung mga PCR tests. Basically, yung confirmatory tests na yan.
Attorney, meron pong question. Have
Yes.
you already assessed, Attorney Jeron, have you already assessed kung anong percentage po yung ibabagsak ng ating tax collection sa Pasig with this quarantine, pandemic, no business operations? Ano po yung total assessment nyo as of now?
As of now, wala pa po, ma'am. But of course, yan na rin po yung kailangan namin if ever that we would decide nga, if ever to extend the 2 months grace period that we have given to our constituents, if ever that we will extend that from June, kung tutuloy ba namin yun sa June 1. Kasi hanggang May 31 na lang yung aming leeway. So kailangan namin before May 31 malaman na kung kaya ba namin talaga to offer another extension or kailangan na talaga namin maningil by June 1.
Okay. It seems that we're looking for a new business framework at this time. Yun nga
Yes.
po yung isang research from our side rin sa marketing research na during the time of Spanish flu, ano yung ginawang rebound ng economy na affected nun, and baka meron tayong matutunan out of that. We're looking for a framework that we can work on so that meron po tayong maging pattern if ever. And sa ngayon po kasi mukhang sa initial assessment ay maraming magsasarado, maraming mag-fold up ng mga companies, magbabawas ng mga empleyado just not to be stressed so much. Kasi ang next po yata nating magiging problema, mental health na after nitong during the quarantine. And hanggat wala pa talagang confidence in socializing and going out and unlike before. Sabi nga namin, as a parent, sabi ko rin sa mga anak ko, life will never be the same again kasi iba na. So, they should be grateful na kung ano na yung mga naranasan nila kasi the days ahead will not be the same as yesterday's. Okay. So, yun po. Ang binabanggit po natin dito with those companies that are viewing and listening to us is kailangan rin po nating makapag-open na ng business at the same time be cautious on the safety and health of our people. Pero may obligation din po tayo na kahit papano magkaroon na ng revenue so that we can also fund the city and help them. Na nasa id na po ba, Attorney Jeron, yung ating funding? Yun po ba talaga? Ha?
Kinakaya pa rin naman ng Pasig.
Kinakaya pa rin naman. So, mukhang, yun nga po, yung bagong business framework in doing things when it comes to mukhang merong re-reviewin sa economics natin pagdating sa natin ng business at pagkuha natin ng revenues and how to use our business in order to be productive pa rin despite this pandemic. So, yun po yung pwede natin i-share. Kung meron pong research company dyan, yes, Emily.
May follow-up question kay Attorney Gani about
yes, VP.
The scenario that the employee got sick kasi nag-resume na going to work. So we heard the response of Attorney Jeron, no, in terms of Pasig City, what they're willing to do. How about big businesses like the ones na Attorney Gani is connected with? Ano ang backup plan pag nagkasakit si employee going to work? This is for big businesses. Example lang. Anong meron kayo in your backup plan, Attorney Gani?
Okay. First of all, I will check if the president of our company is watching. So para hindi ako mapahamak. I think it's sige, let me put my lawyer hat on and answer as a legal manager of a company. Una kasi, I think that's the reason why there's contact tracing. The thing about COVID-19 or this virus is that you can contract it rather easily. So as I said, when I go back to my earlier comments before, kaya nga yung value of testing an employee, allowing him to go back to work, that just only goes so far. If you test him once, unless you make sure that he is in a contained environment na hindi na siya mahahawaan, the value of testing is somewhat diminished already. Now, it might just be simplistic to say na pinatest mo siya, nagtrabaho siya, he goes to work. Tapos nagkaroon siya ng naging COVID positive siya. Mahirap yata mag-generalize that it's because he has gone back to work and that's the reason why he got the COVID-19 virus. You really have to determine kung sakasakali where he got that. Is it when in off time niya yan, hindi na siya nagtatrabaho? Is it because is it during his commute to and from work, in which case pwede mong isipin that the employer might have some responsibility for that. It would really be dependent on how he got or how he contracted the virus. That's one. Number two, let's assume na it's really work related. Then I think for companies like us, we're actually looking at the medical coverage of our employees, di ba? Not simply because it's some employers look at it as added cost. Yes, that's true, but essentially you're investing on your employee as well. And in the long run, if you're able to put in medical coverage for your employee for this kind of things, then you ensure that they will get well and they will become productive again. I think to summarize my answer, first of all, you really have to find out paano niya na-contract yung virus. Is it a situation na it's not work related, I think that will determine whether or not the employer might have some responsibility in terms of shouldering the cost. If it's work related, then we can look at shouldering the cost of the treatment of the employee, because pwede mo naman sabihin it's part of the work na ano kasi. So moving forward or looking ahead, you can look at expanding the medical coverage of your employees, and it might in the short term be an added cost, but in the long term you're actually securing the productivity of your employee and therefore helping your own business out.
Right. Thank you so much. Medyo na-clarify na. So, pero by law, Attorney Gani, meron bang batas that's applicable to this pandemic that's happening right now that says who has the responsibility to cover expenses? Is it the employer, the government, the employee? Kung meron po ba?
Okay. Aamin ako na mas bata ako kay Attorney Jero, ano? So I think my knowledge of the law might actually be older than that of Attorney Manzanero. But as far as I know, walang specific, you exclude yung mga recent pronouncement and issuances ng various departments and agencies. I don't think there's any specific law that has already been issued, even in code or in any other law, that really squarely applies to the current situation. So talagang kapa tayo lahat. And as Attorney Manzanero might confirm, most of the time as lawyers, what we just try to do is when we try to fit what the law says with respect to a specific situation that we either want to fit it in or try to see if there are others that fit by analogy. So, but no, walang specific, walang issuances right now other than how to deal with community quarantines.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that, Attorney Gani. Miss Mitch, if you have questions there?
Yeah. Maybe we can have some last words na from Attorney Jeron Manzanero on how do we address this programs to survive this pandemic to the business community of Pasig. Of course, the unity is required and the participation is required. That's why we're here. We're really finding ways on how to connect with each other so that we can also participate in whatever program that the Pasig City is doing. We all want together to sustain and survive and still give jobs to our people. Pero mukhang iba yung hinihingi rin ng panahon ngayon. Sabi ko nga kanina, intramuro, self-contained muna tayong mga taga-Pasig. Tayo-tayo muna magbilihan, tayo-tayo muna magbigayan ng trabaho, tayo-tayo rin ang magsusurvive. Parang ganon. So, any final words from Attorney Manzanero para to encourage din naman yung ating mga distressed business community and at the same time makapag-inspire pa rin tayo para we can still hope for more na at the end of the tunnel there's still a big light waiting for all of us.
Okay,
Yes,
first thing lang muna, no? Mag-ingat tayo kasi may bagyo ngayon at signal number 2 dito sa Metro Manila. Now, going forward dito sa ating pinapasok na modified ECQ, no? Like Mayor Vico has said kanina, huwag tayo magmadali. Huwag tayo magmadali na buksan ang ating businesses natin. Alam natin naman na kailangan na tayo mag-operate at kailangan na natin buksan ulit ang mga cash flow natin. However, huwag tayo magmadali kasi napaka-vulnerable pa rin ng ating sitwasyon ngayon. Pwede tayo magkaroon ng second wave na tinatawag. Pwede magka-spike ulit ng mga confirmed cases in Pasig and in Metro Manila. Ang pinakamasasabi ko na lang po at ma-enlighten naman po tayo lahat sa executive order ni Mayor that will soon be coming is that mag-prepare na po tayo dun sa ating opening ng businesses natin. Whether 100% full capacity kayo or allowed lang kayo ng 50% na capacity yung pag-operate nyo, we should prepare na ngayon yung mga workspaces natin. For example, lagay po tayo ng kailangan po in place na work from home ang default arrangement ng ating mga negosyo. At pag yung on-site work, yun lang po talaga yung exemption. So kung kaya po mag-work from home po. Mag-encourage po tayo ng ating mga empleyado na magstay muna rin sa bahay kahit po nagtatrabaho. Ngayon, kailangan din po natin pag-isipan na rin po at paghandaan ang transportation ng ating mga empleyado. Let's be creative in providing transportation solutions given that mass public transportations are still prohibited to operate during the modified ECQ. Kailangan din po natin sa mga workspaces natin, may reminders tayo ng no mask, no entry. Pwede rin po tayo maglagay ng mga thermometers sa ating mga entrances, ng mga sanitation solutions. Pwede rin po yan. Sana din po pwede tayo gumawa ng mga constant reminders of hand washing and good hygiene sa ating mga workspaces. Kung pwede po rin tayo mag-reorganize ng mga office space natin para makapag-promote ng physical distancing sa ating mga cubicles, na mga empleyado natin. Sana makapag-arrange tayo na would be safe for everyone. No? Tapos pwede rin po tayo maglagay ng mga physical distancing markers sa ating mga establishments for people, for our customers or clients so that they would be reminded. Malaking bagay po yun talaga, may mga physical reminders po sa mga nakikita ng publiko para ma-remind po talaga sila constantly on how to practice physical distancing. Again, po-promote po natin lahat ng mga minimum safety measures na inuutos po at sinasabi ng ating national na government. At sana po pag nasunod po natin ito, ang mga minimum safety measures na ito, ay masasanay din po tayo at magiging normal na po sa atin na in our daily lives we will observe these measures, and then I think that's the time that we will be ready to enter the new normal na talaga. So again, maraming salamat sa oras nyo ngayon at pinakinggan nyo po kami. We hope that we will stay strong and unified from the local government side and the private sector. Continue po tayo magtulungan at bigyan ng suggestion on how we can help each other get through this crisis that we are facing.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Jeron. Just to clarify, kasi diba, some are already operational, no? Ang ating Pasig City Hall ba, our offices there, like the department, the health office, Pasig City Health Office, are they open po ba or nasa skeletal workforce pa rin po?
Yung full capacity po yung mga essential offices ng ating city. For example, of course, the mayor's office is always in full capacity. Ang ating city health office, ang disaster risk reduction management office natin or DRRMO are on full capacity 24/7. Yung mga business permits po, yan po yung mga nakaskeletal workforce ngayon. But also we need to transition slowly to having them in full capacity. Hindi rin po naman sa side dito ng local government na mamadaliin din po ang pagsalubong sa ating new normal.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Attorney Jeron. Mitch?
Yes, thank you very much for the time, our City Administrator, Attorney Jeron Manzanero. Attorney Gani Elasio, marami nang nakakamiss sa Ortigas Center. Alam naman natin, isa sa pinaka-pinupuntahan ng lahat dito sa Pasig because of that. So, any words po from your side?
Well,
Attorney Gani?
we will welcome you back. We will try to make sure that it's as orderly as we can. But let's all be patient with each other because I don't think, you know, no, I don't think anybody can really fully anticipate how things will work out. So, for the sake of each other's sanity, I think we should be a bit more patient with each other in the coming weeks or even months.
Thank you, Attorney Gani.
Hmm.
Okay. So I think we've already taken into account some concerns, if not majority of the business community in Pasig. And we thank everyone po. Any words, VP Emily, for those that are viewing us? Later, we will have a Zoom meeting so that we can consolidate all the other concerns na hindi pa natin na mention dito. And we will have to submit a paper to the office of Attorney Jeron Manzanero so that we can participate in whatever rehabilitation, recovery that the economy of Pasig City is awaiting despite this pandemic. Cooperation is really a must for all of us kasi self-sustaining po dapat tayo. And dapat po tayo rin ang magtulungan para makalagpas tayo sa pandemic na ito. VP?
I'd like to thank the local government of Pasig City for being ever supportive sa Pasig City Chamber. And of course, sa Okay, thank you so much, Attorney Gani Elacio. We're glad na now Okay and Pasig City Chamber are connected so we can help each other, really support local businesses, and also, in turn, support our local government. So thank you so much, gentlemen, and of course, Ms. Mitch, our president sa Pasig City Chamber for this time. Thank you so much. And I'd like to, siguro si Jay is ready to voice the closing remarks of the Pasig City Chamber chairperson, Ms. Nora Lacuna, and she's also one of the board of directors of the Philippine Chamber. Sa mga nanonood po na mga business owners from Pasig, our tech team will be posting down yung link for the meeting later. So after this, we will have a meeting. We would like to really get inputs and we would like to help and support and encourage other business owners of Pasig, kahit member or non-member ng Pasig City Chamber, please do join us because we will pass a resolution to our city administrator. So we would want to hear from you and we would want to be able to also support you, give you moral support on how to be able to go through this para sharing po tayo ng knowledge and encouraging each other. So please do join us. And Jay, can you post now the closing remarks of Ms. Nora Lacuna?
Good afternoon, everyone. We are blessed today to have with us the beloved Mayor of Pasig City, Mayor Vico Sotto, together with his City Administrator, Attorney Jeron Manzanero, our Okay representative, Attorney Sagani, and of course, our Pasig City Chamber President, Ms. Mitch Ballesteros, aiming to shed lights to business issues confronting businesses in Pasig City. Amidst this COVID-19 pandemic, we from the Pasig City Chamber of Commerce and Industry Incorporated are continuously doing our best in being the voice of business community in Pasig. We know that we are facing a lot of challenges, and this calls for more collective efforts in order to have one voice on our business concerns. We thank everyone who are watching now, and we pray for your safety. Together we will overcome this, and together we will heal as one. God bless and stay safe and healthy.